Okay, welcome back to Viper Flight Drawing 1. We are going to talk about color today. So this is our color introductory. If you do not know already, you are going to need oil pastels for this project. You can find them at any Hobby Lobby, Michael's store. Sometimes you can get them at Walmart, but you are going to need oil pastels for this project. Okay. We're going to talk about pop art. That is the type of art that we are going to be working on today. This movement emerged in the mid-1950s in Britain and the late 1950s in the United States, based on modern popular culture and the mass media, especially as a critic or iconic comment on traditional fine art values. Pop art presented a challenge to traditions of fine art by introducing imagery from popular culture such as advertising and news. In pop art, material is sometimes visually removed from its known context or isolated and or combined with unrelated material. Now this all sounds very jumbly, but basically pop art was the beginning of comic books style, and also just a lot of very colorful pieces that weren't necessarily supposed to be colorful. And I'll explain a little later. Pop art is widely interpreted as a reaction to the dominant ideas of abstract expressionism. So it basically took a back seat from expressionism, and that's one of the biggest reasons why there is such a giant controversy with pop art when it became a thing, is because traditional artists were frustrated because they didn't believe that pop art was a form of art or could be popular. So, pop art artists. Andy Warhol is by far the most famous. He was born August 6th, 1928, and he died February 22nd, 1987. He was an American artist who was a leading figure in the visual art movement known as pop art. So before, when I talked about how sometimes subjects in pop art weren't necessarily supposed to be super colorful. So he's basically taken a photo of Monroe, and in each square, he's changed up the color in ridiculous ways. His works explored the relationship between artistic expression, celebrity culture, and advertising that flourished by the 1960s. So then we have Roy Lichtenstein, and he, during the 1960s, along with Andy Warhol, Jasper Johns, and James Rosenquist, among others, became a leading figure in the new art movement. His particular work, Roy, defined the premise of pop art through parody. So he is one of the more well-known beginners of our comic book fiascos. He was inspired by comic strips, so he took comic ideas and comic books, and he created works of art from that were actually put in museums. These are his two most popular pieces. He described pop art as a not American painting, but actually industrial painting. So it's a little different. This one in particular is of the drowning girl. Generally regarding, that is one of his most famous works. So, based off of what we have learned with color art, we are going to kind of backpack off of Andy Warhol, and our color project is going to kind of go back to the basics, but with his colorful style. So, this is what we are going to be doing. We're going to take a 9-inch by 9-inch square, okay? So you need to make sure your paper is 9 inches by 9 inches. From there, we are going to divide them into 3-inch by 3-inch squares. So overall, you are going to have 4 total, but each square is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches to create that 9 by 9. And then inside, you are going to just use basic shapes to create a format for you to then add color to. And again, each square is 3 inch by 3 inch, but also each of them have a different color scheme. So step 1, obviously you will divide your paper into 3 inch by 3 inch squares, if you haven't already gotten sick of me saying that. Overall, we're looking at 9 inches by 9 inches inside 3 by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So this is step 1. Step 2 is to get a separate sheet of paper with a 3 inch by 3 inch square over here, okay? This is where you're going to draw your one design that then you will trace and duplicate for the 4s. So again, we're going to come up with an idea here, okay? This needs to be 3 inches by 3 inches so it lines up to this guy. Okay, and then inside is where you're going to create your design. It can be anything you want. It's totally up to you. You are working with oil pastels, so you are going to probably want bigger size shapes because the smaller they are, the harder the oil pastel has to get in there. Then from there, like I said, you can either use a light box or a window to trace your sketch. So this was my original shape or my original orientation. And then I just flipped it to make it look interesting for my shapes. Okay, and then this is where your final project should end up looking like. Then step 4, in each different square, you are going to have a different color scheme. The first color scheme will be your complementary colors. Now, if you look down here, this is my complementary color, which is orange and blue. Another form of complementary colors are yellow and purple, and red and green. So you have 3 sections, 3 different complementary color groups that you can choose from. And I'll say them one more time because these are important and you have to get them right. You have orange and blue, okay? You have purple and yellow, and then you have red and green. Those 3 groups, those 3 groups are for your complementary colors. Then you will choose a warm color scheme. This is my warm color scheme. Okay, I have chosen to do reds, oranges, and yellows, and a little bit of pink. Okay, cool colors down here. I have chosen purple and blue for my cool colors. And then for your free choice, you can choose to do whatever you would like. I chose to do monochromatic, so this is my monochromatic space, which is nice and green. Monochromatic means, if you are interested in doing that, one color, multiple shades, so multiple different values of that one color. Okay, so from here, this is the ending step. If you have questions on what is expected of you, you need to make sure that you email me as soon as you can. I need to see a progress photo from you at this step. So step number 3, I need you to send a picture of it to me in email. I can go over it with you, make sure it looks accurate to what it needs to be before you move on to coloring your squares. At this step, we will also discuss which square is going to be which color. It's a quick process. Send me the email. I'll shoot you back a response. It's very simple, and then you can move on to coloring and finally turning this project in. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, please let me know, but for the most part, you should be pretty good to go. Thank you so much.